Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A CloudFoundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Now comes a very important topic which is totally practical, not notepad things which I will be doing. I will be working on Postman. Let's see, it is here only. I will be working on Postman. We will learn first few concepts, then we will learn on FHIR APIs. Before I move to the FHIR APIs, there is a concept. Let me show you the concept first. This is a very important concept. People need to understand it. I will make sure. I usually give one example when I am giving this topic or explaining this topic. I feel that provides more clarity. I will talk about that example in just a time. Here the topic is there are two sort of IDs present in a resource. When I say two sort of IDs, one at the parent level, patient identifier. Now in the domain resource, if you go, you will have 4 attributes, but this is following a resource. If you click on resource, you get a provision to add one more attribute, which is ID. I will not talk about others. We will talk about that in some time. I will talk about this ID. What is this? Here, let's talk about this. You get a provision just like you wrote an identifier. You get a provision to write ID. ID is something you can look into. The data type. It is alphanumeric and can hold special characters also. Where did it go? It is alphanumeric and it can hold special characters also. Something like this. I mean, it is usually a good, but totally depends upon how the server has implemented most of the server, the public server. You will see it will give you an integer value, but it will be a good. When I say good, it is an alphanumeric good separated by hyphens, which is implemented by most of good servers. What is this? ID. Now the question can we map MR of a patient here? If, then what will go in identifier? Then, if not, then what is the difference between this ID versus identifier? Here the concept is ID is known as resource ID. ID or there is another term given to it. Logically, you will hear only these two terms for ID, nothing else. There is another identifier. This is always known as business identifier. We learned the concept of business identifier that with respect to hospital context, business identifier is nothing but MRN of the patient. MRN of the patient. Now what it means? In this case, MRN of the patient, we are saying it can be mapped in this. But can we map NRN here? Answer is no. Then what is this value? Now let me try to give you an example. Let's see the example now. Anyone has visited temple or a Gurudwara where there is a shoe rack where you have to give your shoe and all the stuff. Any place, something of this sort. What I mean is this is Jodo. I have seen the concept in Gurudwara. I, being a Punjabi, I have seen this concept. This is a person who is visiting a temple. Again, this is just an example. Don't take it with respect to religion and all. This is just an example. Just to showcase a concept which is prevailing. Let's consider this is as a temple where this Jodo is going. Now what I see is there is a shoe rack. I will not go till here. My concept will lie here in this shoe rack. What is that? ID. And what is that? ID. What it actually holds. Who is that ID issuer? This person needs to go to temple. Here, when this person has to go to the temple, what he will do first? The concept in Gurudwara is, you cannot wear your footwears within the premises. Within the premises you cannot wear, but they have given a provision that you can give your shoes or whatever slippers you are wearing in the shoe rack. People usually are available for service. There are a few folks who are doing service here and they will take your shoes. And anybody who will tell me what they do, what is their experience? Not a FHIR concept, but anyone who will tell me what they do. If someone or their experience, they will go to shoekeeper. What is their experience? Exactly. That is what I was looking for. This guy is wearing a shoe. Now this guy will give his shoe. Let's say there are two people working. I am not worried about two people. I am only worried about the person who has taken my shoe. This is a person who has taken my shoe and he will give back a token. He will give you a token. Let's say the token number is 1. Now, how did this guy give a token? Wherever the placeholder was there. It is not like he removed somebody's shoes and he kept your shoes there. Correct? That is not the case. Right. Here, once the shoes are given to the shoekeeper, this shoekeeper will give back a token. Now let's see what is a CDR and what the CDR does. CDR is nothing but a logical software which is capable of accepting FHIR resources, and it will store the FHIR resources. Now considering, I have just kept one sample here. This don't worry how I am doing or how I am working on the APIs. We will learn in some time. Just understand the concept. Consider this is the shoe. This is the shoekeeper, which is a CDR endpoint. This is a public server I am using. Now if I will just click on send. HTTP APIs. There is something known as ID which is getting generated. If you see my payload, I didn't send ID. I did not send ID as an attribute. But over here, whenever I am giving this shoekeeper a shoe, hey sorry, I click. Whenever I am giving this shoekeeper my shoe, he is giving me one token. Let's say another person came. Let's consider this is another. I will ask Leling. This is another patient who came into picture. And he gave another pair of shoe to, let's say, same shoekeeper or another shoekeeper who is there. And if you see 45.9, they have a logic which is incremental. If you see, if I will send it one more time, this is again +1. This is again, it is a public server. I have the privilege to create duplicates also. I will tell you how to work on duplicates. I do have a privilege to work on duplicates. It is a public server. It is just a test server which you can use for hit and trial purposes. Now CDR, considering CDR as a shoekeeper. He is giving you a token back. This token is known as the resource ID or the logical ID. Anybody who will tell me what would be the use case of that resource ID or the token ID? Considering this as an example, that shoe is given and you have a token. Now you have to go back home. What will be the use case of the token? To uniquely identify the resource. And if you give back the token to this shoekeeper, he will give you the resource back. It is always like request and response. Because API is, there is a request and someone has to give the response. If you see, I have made changed from post to get. We will learn about what is post to get. This is the token which is present here. And if I just click on send, I am receiving the exact payload which is being sent by me. This is my shoe. For example, this is the shoe which I gave and the token number was 14766. And in return, he will give me my shoe back. This is how the data is retrieved back. There are different search operations we will learn today. But before we do that, I wanted to showcase this concept. Any questions? What is ID and what is identifier? ID is nothing but identifier, or a unique good, or a unique value assigned by the CDR to the payload. When you have sent something to the CDR, let me show you, or let me put forward the concept. The concept is, this is a person, again a temple. We'll not go to the temple. It is the concept lies in the shoe. Now this person is wearing a shoe. This person is saying, can you give me? Can you keep my shoe in? And provide me a token number of 1122. That this person is saying that I want a token number 1122. It is a lucky number for me. Please see if that works for you. Now two things can happen. The placeholder is free. Then only this person can give you the token, correct? For example, for the book extraction, right? Sometime for the book extraction from the database, assign a good. That good can be used. The Microsoft SQL Server to the FHIR resources in the ID attribute. That relationship from the database will still be maintained in the FHIR resource. Only important part is, not all server allows you to do this thing. Let's see if this server does it. Let's say, I will just give a random number. What you need to do is, you need to add an attribute which will. This is another concept we will definitely learn as of now. He asked me a question. Let's see if this server allows. We will learn about how do you know whether the server allows or not. And first thing is, cannot create resource. No resource ID. No resource with ID. And client. Not only assign. May only assign which is contained at least one numeric. They want some non-numeric digit also. Let's see now. I have to change it here also. Ctrl Z. I changed in the payload. I have to change it in the PA also. Hey, if you see the concept now, whenever you are providing the ID, this is how you need to provide the ID. And then you have to tell the FHIR server, please keep it at this location. I will learn I will talk about it in the FHIR APIs concept. The C in the response has given the same logical ID where it is kept. Use cases. I will tell you. There is a database. Who has seen a database? A SQL Server database or any database? Considering you are creating a normalized database and you have created, for example, each row is marked as a good. You have marked this column as a good, which is uniquely identifying a row. There will be a good. Anybody knows what is a good? It's a globally unique identifier. How it looks like, I'm just showcasing an example. Can you move up? This is how a good looks. It's alphanumeric string separated by hyphens. There are algorithms you can define to write. If I wanted to show how the good looks, considering the database holds a good for each row. There is one good. There is another good. Another good. This good can considering hospital is moving SQL Server database to the FHIR server. Now what they can do is they can that we do have gates present. Can you utilize the same good and maintain the same relationship in the FHIR? This is the concept. You can map the good coming from the SQL Server database and you can map it to the ID attribute. This is the use case which Hayden brought in. It works in some of the concepts where you can assign the good, but usually most of the CDR will say you don't have permissions to create the good. First thing, how you know that CDR allows you to create a good? You can definitely do a API code enter, just like how I did. Solve the errors, just like how we. That CDR is just like I thought. Whenever we are posting the data, it is giving me an integer value. I thought it is on the same lines that if I pass a unique integer, it will create an integer or it will create a resource for me with the same logical ID. But what the CDR was throwing an error that if we are passing the logical ID, the CDR is saying, please create a logical ID which is alphanumeric. That is where I created alphanumeric logical and it was accepting it. This is one. Another thing is we need to look into the capability statement. We will see what is capability statement. Is this concept clear? What is I? What is identify? Any questions? Before to the next one. A small topic on resource referencing. We will learn. Let's learn the resource referencing concept in bundle. A different way that bundle concept we will be learning tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. I don't think we will be able to cover this today. Bundle concept we will learn tomorrow. There is a different way of referencing a resource, but let's see If there are individual resources you are creating, how the referencing. I will take an example. The example. Control. There is a patient. Patient went to a laboratory and he gave blood specimen, and there is a report. When the report is there, it's an observation resource. Considering this to be one resource, this is observation. This is another resource. This is patient resource. This is patient. This is observation. Considering two things. Sahil was always saying that resource is self-contained. But if it is self-contained, we say this observation, which is coming from a lab, and this is, let's say, blood or a heart rate report, something, a blood test or a heart rate, some example, we will capture. If the MAN of the patient, let's say, if the MAN of the patient M1, and this is the report, how the linkage is there, and how you can post the depth to the CDR for that particular report. Let's create it. I will not pick something which is already there. Next. You just have to learn the concept. FHIR is the next concept. Before FHIR APIs, you should be aware of the concept, which is the referencing, because that is what we will be learning in the entire concept. Let's look into it. Let's say there is a patient. I am just giving, and I am considering that as Jodod. Considering that this is, let's say, and this is something is already created. What I am going to do, I will not use. It is which you will remember that this unique, if I will send it, it will create this resource for me. I will do one thing. I will copy this request. I will copy the response. I want to take an example. That example would be know the concept of referencing. Next, you will learn this concept only. I just copied one example which is lying in the FHIR, and this is an observation resource which is present in the FHIR. I will create over here. Observation resource is I just created. As you just consider, this is the observation which is going to flow from laboratory to the FHIR, and then it will be visible to the MR where the doctor is working on it. Considering doctor asked to capture the body height, this is the observation for body height for this particular patient. Now considering we created a patient where the men was 99,990. I'll just copy that. There's a no typo. How many of you think? And this is the value that person who what we have created, and I'm going to create this now. And this person is 173 centimeter tall. Now, anyone who thinks this will fail in this idea that this is the subject, One more thing is if I go to the observation resource, I'm going to see this one patient resource has no linkage to any other resource. It is only referring to for which organization it belongs. Organization is nothing but the hospital. If you are looking for a linkage to be provided between a patient resource and the observation resource, you need to find who refers to what when. When I say who it is, observation resource refers to patient. How I know? If I scroll down to the specification, it is saying subject, I never taught you a reference data type. This is the concept of reference data type. That subject is referring to either of them. It is Zoe. It is either of them. You can hold a reference of patient. Now considering this is an example, I have created a patient whose min is Menti 9990. Now if I just go back and I will just paste it in the postman, anyone who thinks it will throw an error because of anything, I'll just make it post. I'm going to send this data. Anyone who will think this is through this will throw an error. Or what is your thought process hidden? Will it work? Will it throw an error? Seizure will never know the min of the patient. Seizure will always know what is the logical aid where the resource is kept. This means if I will send this that there is a patient and this patient has this value, he will try to find a patient resource with this logical aid. If I will send this, you will find an error. Let's see what the error says. This is how people should learn FHIR. If you will directly learn the concept, I think you will never encounter. If I do this, what will happen? This is where it says resource patient with. This logical aid was not found in my seeder. Now, what should you do? That is where I copied the observation resource. I copied the response of the patient and the aid was this. This is the patient, what we created. Now, if you just change it to this value and it is a logical aid, just see the magic. It says, I have created it. This is how referencing works in individual resources. We'll talk about the bundle resource in separate context. This is how the referencing works. You can refer any resource anyway. Now considering this, I will talk about seeder. It is open question for me. We'll go back to FHIR APIs. What is FHIR APIs? API is a concept not within FHIR. API is a generic concept. I think the full form is Application Programming Interface. It is a concept where you have a request, there is a method. I will talk about all of this. There is a request. There is a requester, I will add. There is a method, there can be a payload, and there is some sort of headers. I will talk about all of these. I think these are the 4 items which I want to cover within AP. Anything hidden you want to you think which will be part of API response, one response center, the way FHIR has standardized it. You just have to learn that concept. The way anybody writes AP, it is the same concept here also. How AP works is AP works on this concept. I will talk about this concept. Here base L where the server has posted the API. In this case, we have a FHIR server just like I will. Let's use this one only. We have a FHIR server. We have a FHIR server with the base L as this now FHIR. On top of it, the API needs to be hosted. The API concept is, this is the base server L. Then in normal terms, there is a context path. What FHIR has done is they have renamed that context path to the resource type on which resource you are working on now. This is the list of parameters I have added in the square bracket because these are optional. We will talk about these parameters, what it means. Now consider if this is the request URL, how you build a request URL. Now considering method, what is a method? API, the concept of API has already defined couple of parameters which are for method. Now what is those methods? There are many already defined which is get fireworks on, get post put, patch delete. No, nothing else. You will not see anything else. Patch is also rarely used. I just captured one example for you, but different people work on patches in a different way. You just have to look into the documentation. But we will touch base patch also. These are the method. Get means anybody who knows get fetching the record. Post means creating, or in the school terms it is inserting. Put means it is update. Patch means partial update, perfect, partial update or create. When I say partial update or create a recent use case, I will touch base that there was a use case that the resource already exists in the seeder. Can you just add an attribute within the existing resource? Only one attribute you need to add. How you add it? That is there. If resource already exists, can you just update one field of that resource? The answer is yes, that is the delta. I would say the delta you can put forward to the feature using a patch operation. I use the term operation specifically because I will talk about that operation keyword in some time. Delete is deleting a resource. In FHIR terminologies or in FHIR standard, deleting a resource is possible, but it is always a soft delete. It will always remain in the memory. I will talk about what is the soft delete. I'll showcase how you can retrieve the data back. But let's first look into how you can work with FHIR APIs. Considering what is A, let's consider the same use case first. Let's consider the same use case. We will work on the two things, read operation versus search operation. Anybody who can just give it a try. What is a read operation and what is a search operation? Over here, knowing the identifier. Hit here when see how people know the identifier. It is the logical aid and that is what I told. It is very rarely used because nobody stages the logical aid with where the resource is being created. Now what is this read operation? As I have already told you, the building, the FHIR APIs is this one as, and this is read or search, which is get. You are asking the FHIR server, can you give me this? Now, when you say, give me this, either it will be a read operation or a search operation. Now, let's go back to the shoe keeper. This is my person again. This is a shoe rack. This is a shoe rack, and now this person has given the token. When this person has given the token, the shoe keeper will give the shoe back. This is a shoe, this is a token. Now, if you are giving the token back and server is giving you, or the shoe keeper is giving you your shoe, that is known as the read operation. That you know that where the shoes are kept and you are asking, give me the data or give me the item which is kept at this number. In this case, how we are building the AP, we are what? I will work on patient first, that there are no confusions. This is the base. I will make it get. This is a get operation we are doing. It is either a read or search. This is the base server FHIR. I mean base all of the FHIR server. And it is hosted by the happy. There is another one which Hayden uses, that is also by Happy. This is another one which I uses. There is another one from Monk. You can use either of them. Now, next is what resource you are working on. Currently, we are saying we are working on resource type patient, and in that case it is shoe. You cannot write shoe because CJR will not understand shoe. We are saying that I want my patient resource back, which I gave you, and in return, you gave me a token. Where is it? Hopefully we kept it. It is here, and in return, you gave me a token which is kept at this location. Can you? In this case, even if you remove this payload, does not matter. In the get call, payload is marked as blank. Postman will automatically delete it. This is the shoe you got back, and in this case it is the patient resource kept at this particular location using the location logical aid, or the resource it is retrieved back from the seizure, and this is known as read operation. We'll talk about this thing now. This is the most important part. You have to understand. Now let's look into what are these parameters. Anybody, I being very careless, let's say I lost the token. I went to temple. While coming back up, in the Gurdwara there was a pool. I went there, I took a bath. In the meantime, someone stole or my token is lost. Anybody who will tell me how I will retrieve the data or how I will retrieve the my shoe back? This is what you can tell. My shoe is red in color, black laces. It is 10 size Nike shoes. Something you can tell all of the I would say the details about the shoe. Now we'll talk about there are chances that he will find more than couple of pairs. How you will retrieve the right one. Let's talk about that thing now. With respect to the FHIR context. With respect to the FHIR context, what is this search thing? Now let's go back to the specification. Nothing specific I am going to teach you. It is all in the specification, and theory part is also written. I don't teach theory at all. Now going back to the page of I will go to patient resource. We are working on patient, and guys understand this concept. There is an assignment which will be uploaded today. Now very important part. This is the patient resource or patient payload which is there. Now let's see where are the search parameter. You just have to keep on scrolling. Theory party, please read it. I have no interest in teaching theory. Scrolling down till you find a section, and it is available in each resource. It is not that it is only in patient, open any resource. Out of 145 resources in R4, every resource has this section which is known as A12 tool, search parameters. Now what is this? Search parameters. You again have a specification defined. Oh, I have to again look into a specification. Answer is yes, you have to look into the specification. Now the concept comes is into what is the search parameter, how you can use it. Can you use all the search parameters? Can you search the? There is a question people usually ask. Can I search a resource based on any parameter which is present in the specification? Anybody who will tell me what can be the answer? This is patient. This is the entire list. Let's consider there are 15-20 attributes. Can you search the patient resource using all the parameters of patient resource in this specification? Let's consider there are 15 attributes. Roughly counting 15 attributes will FHIR. Make all of them as searchable. I don't know. The answer is written here. You need to look into the details. These are the search parameters. You can only search using these attributes from the FHIR server. Now another part is whether FHIR server. How do I know that FHIR server is accepting these parameters? That is another concept of capability statement. We will touch base in a 20-30 minutes now. Now let's see in case. Another thing is over here. Considering birth date over here, birth date is there. So, I'll give you one example, a very good example. Is there birth date? Patient.birth date. It is saying birth date is searchable and it is under search parameters. Can I use an? And the parameter in the specification also says there is a birth date attribute. Considering person has populated birth date and can you search? Can you just say to the FHIR server, this one / patient. Now I will tell you how do we write it. Birth date is equal to some value. Can you tell the FHIR server like this D as uppercase answer is no for the context path. Not the context for the X path. Patient.birth date. Where it went, patient.birth date. Again you have to read the specification from left to right, patient.birth date. The search parameter is birth date and it says you need to write a value as per the data type. We will learn now what it means. What? The example, what was given to me by Arsini, that there are demographic or their attributes. You will define that. My shoe is Nike. It is 10 size. It is black laces. It is red in color with a white tick on it. That is the same thing. FHIR says that out of it. Another example I would give you, within the shoe there is a sole, right? If you tell that within the shoe there is a red color cast, sole or below that there is a black color mark, those kind of things. You can mark it as non-searchable. On this param, on this front, there are few attributes FHIR has marked as non-searchable. Why they have marked as non-searchable? Please go and ask them, or please raise a ticket, or using proposal, change that is on them. They have declared a standard. Now let's look into what we can do now. Considering the same thing, you can tell that my shoe is 10 in size. Now let's see. This is we understood. Base server URL patient resource. Now those attributes are repeating parameters. Now let's say you will say gender. Now talking about, let's say you want to find all the genders. Doctor wants to find all the genders. You need to find an attribute from this. The key will be here, but you need to validate the XPath here. Patient resource. You need to keep on scrolling till you find gender. This is patient or gender. What is the key? Key says gender. This is the parameter. This is where I will copy from here. I will say gender. Now it is always a key value pair separated by equal to. How do I write a value? Can I put double quotes and say male? Answer is no. In FHIR API terminologies, there are no double quotes. If you just go back and click on this data type which is token U, it is telling that the value, because the data type can be aligned to multiple search parameters. That is where they are writing parameter. They are not saying gender here. Even identifier works. On this one, we will talk about identifier. They are saying you can mention the value as code, which means you can tell what can be the gender of the patient based on the specification. The specification says the gender can be male, female, other or unknown. Where did it go? Or I missed it. Oh sorry, I went to a wrong page. If I go back here, gender says it is male, female, other or unknown. Considering the same example, what we have, where is my patient? Here identifier is there. Now I will just write the identifier. Where is the postman? On the same lines, I want to find patient using the men. How do I write it? I will go back to the specification. I will find patient.identifier. The value is identifier or the key is identifier. I will write identifier equals to how do I write this value. Now it is following the token data type. Now I will explain what is this token data type. You can directly write the value as this 1000 for which the patient we created. But considering you got 13 result sets. But there is another way you can tell the system. Let's say, considering this seizure, Sahil is also posting the data. Hayden is also posting the data. Sahil also created a patient using 1000 as a min. Hayden also created a patient using 1000 as a min. Now based on it, if there is a system which has declared that URL I have informed you. What is this system? This system is nothing but who has issued the min to the patient. How do you use it? That usage is also given in the specification that they are saying. If you know the system and you want to minimize the results, you can use either code directly. What value I have already given. Now, if you want to write system and value, the separator is pipe. I will go back to Postman. Now I know that identifier is equal to. I have written code. I will copy this value of system. I will copy. Hope you guys can see the pipe. It is small but hope you guys can see. If I send it now, I will get the exact same patient which I sent. Probably there are n number of patients with this. I mean 13 patients with this system, and they said, and you can add more searches to it and you can figure out your right patient. Now, I wanted to cover this because there is a way this system pipe. This is written. Or another thing is, if you want that, tell me all the patients. You don't know the mins or you don't. You are not interested in men. In the public server, many people are posting the data. You want to know that the Apollo hospital is also feeding data to public hospital, which is not going to be the case. Apollo has given you a static string Apollo/NNI, and you know that you want to pull all the patients for Apollo. Considering this is the URL for Apollo, you can just hit enter. You are not worried about the min of the patient. Consider here there are 18 result sets. Consider we were getting earlier 13. There are 5 more patients which are having this system, but a different min. There is min 77 some zeros. This is how you write the identifier or the token data type. Otherwise, these are the basic FHIR APIs. These are the base for FHIR APIs, but rarely used. I have been keep on saying rarely used. I will tell you why. Because it is not like patient. You will do multiple FHIR APIs. Just like, manner you will. You will fetch the patient and then using the logical aids, you will try to fetch the observation resources linked via the logical aid, not like this. There are advanced FHIR APIs which are mostly used and are prominent in the market. And every time you have to work on API, it is always the advanced level of APIs which we will work on. Any questions in the base FHIR APIs? How do you write? Because this one will be bit on the other end side it will be more on the technical front. Then let's learn the advanced concepts. The first advanced concept is known as. Let's go back to notes, the first advanced concept. This will be bit interesting, and these are the major things which are being used in the application, even for hidden. This will be very interesting. Chaining. What is the meaning of chaining? Chaining is, consider one observation for Mendanti 1. The use case is Sahil is sitting in front of Dr. Who is it? J. Deepa. Silas is sitting in front of J. Deepa and doctor wants to pull all the observations for the patient using patient details. Now we understood that there is something known as base all. We will learn or we will directly write the app only. This is the base server all. Now what this resource type? We understood that this resource type is what you want to retrieve back. Here, what do we want to retrieve back? Anyone. We have to pull the observation resource from the seizure now, but we don't know anything about the observation resource. Should I go to observation resource and try what I can use or which search parameter I can use? I will open observation resource. I know the min of the patient. Can someone tell me how I can? I will go to the search parameters again. There will be section which will talk about the search parameters. This is the section which is talking about the search parameter. Can someone tell me what should I use to pull the observation resource? Where I know something about the patient resource, I will scroll down. Can I scroll down? There is a concept of subject and it says subject. This is observation resource. This is the patient resource. Observation refers to patient via the attribute known as subject. That is what we learned as a referencing concept. Now the chaining concept always work on the attribute. I'll show you chaining concept always work on the attribute which has reference data type. Subject has reference data type. Now, what is this chaining concept? Chaining says, if you are working on a resource, the considering observation resource, and you don't know anything about that resource, you don't know actually anything, you just have a reference. You know something about the resource which is being referred. That is where chaining comes into picture, that you can pull the deeds. You can still pull the details using the data from the reference resource using the concept of chaining. Now, what is that? FHIR API you need to build. It says you need to work on the parameter known as subject. Then if you put a dot and if you tell that if you put a dot and write the identifier just like how I did, then it will identify. Or 1 second. Let me put it in this front view first. First rule is identify the parameter which has reference data type. Once you identify which attribute has reference data type, and you should be knowing something about that. Second one is optional. I'll mark it as optional. If the search parameter you found has or can link to more resources, it is better to tell in the API which resource you are chaining to. Here, how do you tell which resource, considering the same example subject, can refer to patient, group, device or resource? But we know something about patient. We don't know anything about group, device or location, and we want to use something from patient resource to pull the data from to pull observation resource. How do we write this? Subject is the attribute. Using colon, you can tell telling your EPA that we are interested in patient resource. Now, when you write this colon, you are immediately into the resource which is written next. If it is only one resource, you can directly write identifier also. That will also work. It is always better to write which resource you are in. Then, now you are in patient resource. Now you know min is mapped in identifier attribute. How do you write identifier attribute? You don't have to go to observation resource now, you and patient resource. Just now you learned identifier is a token data type based is equal to some system pipe value. Now, you know that. Let's say I found one menon, one observation for a particular min. Now same thing I did. I am pulling the. Anybody who will tell me the outcome of this, whether I will get the observation resource or I will get a patient resource. You know, correct. Now the answer is we will get observation resource where the min is linkage to this. If I click on send, there might be only one, there might be more. I found there is only one observation. If you scroll down, you found observation resource only and it is linking to subject is 400. Now if I will just open, I will just showcase. I am not fooling you guys. If I will just open and let's see if it is something. Is there a patient slash? Oh, there are 2 times copied. If I just open patient slash, this is the logical aid. I am doing a read operation you. If I will just open and I will just open the screen and see if there is a type of T. There is a patient whose min is this and I have also in my AP where is the chaining. I have also in my AP told that there is a min. I know something about the patient resource where the min is this. Can you give me the observation resource? It has given me an observation which is present for this patient and it says body height for this particular patient is this. If there are more observations, you will definitely get all the observations from that list. Now I will talk about hidden R. How do you restrict it? You need to add more parameters to get to that particular observation. For example, you have one heart rate, one SpO2 and one particular respiration rate. You can add a code of observation that you need this R for a particular patient. You can add more search parameters. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.